Alright, welcome back everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone had a good week. I have a guest in the background. Everyone say hi to Megan. Megan, say hi.
Hi.
Um, we are sharing our office right now, and she's still got a little bit of work to do, so she'll be hanging out in the background. But y'all don't have to worry about that. We are going to do some Android dev. Um, I was struggling to figure out what to work on this week. Last week we had a really good stream where we showed the importance of like wrapping third-party libraries. So specifically for this app, the Android Study Guide app, we showed how to build like our own analytics tracker, and we talked about building like an interface around analytics tracking, and then you could have your concrete implementations for like Firebase or Segment or whatever third-party tools. Um, that was a fun stream. Definitely check it out on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, go over to YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed over there. Um, I'm put all of the stream rewinds up there, and then I'm hoping to do even more YouTube specific content coming soon. Probably in the next couple months. Actually, I'll try to ramp that up and do some more. But in all of that, we actually found a bug last week, and I think we can talk about this bug, and it can lead to an interesting stream. Some people pointed out they were interested in like test-driven development for Android or testing. I think I got like 2 or 3 replies for that on Twitter, and I thought this would actually be an interesting opportunity to look at testing. Is we can go over the bug that was found, write some tests for it, and we would expect them to fail because this bug exists, and then we will go fix the bug and hope that our tests pass, which is like what test-driven development is all about. Sometimes you write the test before you do any development. I think that's one way of thinking about test-driven development, but I also think that it can come up with bugs a lot. Cool, I'm glad people are interested. I actually think this is really important for bugs. Sort of 2 reasons. Like, one, it's a really great way to think about test-driven development. Write the test for the expected behavior. It will fail because of the bug that you have. Fix your bug, verify the test pass. Like, that's good test-driven development. But then there's just the standard benefit of writing tests is that now I have confidence that this bug won't happen again. So that's really good. And I mean, you could sit there and argue, well, like, why was the bug found? Why didn't I have tests for this in the first place? Valid question, but we're writing them now, so better late than never. So that's what we're going to do. But what is the bug? I've just kind of been alluding to it. If you can see you can see the app on the screen. If I tap this bookmark icon, I don't know if you saw that, I tapped it on the first item, but it didn't change. But if I go to the bookmarks tab, I can see that the UI, I can see that it's here. And actually, if I go back now to the first tab, now the bookmark icon is selected. So this is the bug. Why, when I click on it, all the logic happens, but the UI isn't updating. Why don't I give y'all a spoiler about why that bug exists? But like I said, I'm not going to fix it right away. I'm going to try to do tests first. But just so those of you who are watching can understand, it's actually very interesting. Let's walk through the flow real quick. If we have this class, base article list view model, and there's this function right here. We actually worked with this a lot last week. We have an article that was clicked. We update it by toggling the bookmarked property. So if it's true, it becomes false. If it's false, it becomes true. And then we launch this coroutine, and we call article repository.persist article. And I won't take you down that rabbit hole, but what's going to happen is that's going to update some database. And let me show you. Similarly, it's going to update the database, save our data store, but then we have this other method where we fetch articles from the repository, and this is actually a flow. We're subscribing to a flow of articles, and every time we get a response, we have this handle successful network response, and that basically is down here where it sets the success state with that list of articles. So we know that the data flow works, but we have a problem. The UI isn't updating. And that's actually because of a few streams ago when I switched to Jetpack Compose. I'm actually not sure if it's when I switched right away. I think this was updated in a version of Jetpack Compose. But for those of you who are regular viewers, you actually saw this bug recently in like the one of the list screens. And it's that inside this items method, there's the second parameter, if you can see it, is called key, which is a function to create like a key for the item. Now by default, that key is the index. And I think it used to be like the actual item itself. But what this all boils down to is the key identifier for each item is the index. And because the index isn't changing, Compose doesn't realize that it needs to re-render the UI. And so it's just not rendering. And when I switch screens, it forces a redraw, and so now we see it update. So what we are going to need to do here is we're going to need to add a way to identify, that an item has changed so that we can tell Compose to redraw that particular item. So I hope that makes sense. But this is a good opportunity to first write tests for it. And we actually, in this project, already have a bunch of unit tests around this flow. So I know the standard JUnit tests will pass, but I think what we want to do is write some sort of like UI test here. We want to write a test that, let me close these. Interesting. So I want to write a test that, well, I was thinking, sorry, let me think. So I want to write a test that when I click on that icon, I see that it's changed, that it's a different, state, right? So how can we do that? Well, I hesitated here, specifically because one way to do this is like a full end-to-end integration test where I launch the fragment and it will have an instance of that view model, and it'll go through the whole flow and actually persist in the database, and then we make sure the UI updates. But another way is to just do it within our composable here. And that's what I'm thinking of trying to do, because if we look at these tests, I actually have a method in here called handle click listeners. And let's talk about the way this test works. Is all this test does is it has this private variable for whether or not something was clicked. They're defaulted to false. And when I create like an article list item, I'm in the wrong test. This is why I'm confused. This test is not super relevant to what I wanted to describe, because this test is for a singular item. I meant to open this class, which is around testing like a list of articles. All I have in here is a test that like gets a list of articles, displays them on the screen, and then verifies they exist. Actually, several streams ago, we had some issues with this, where I didn't have a way to verify that all of the articles were displayed, so that's why this is commented out, but we'll come back to it. So I think the test that we want to write can exist in here. So let's start writing it, and let's see where we get, because I haven't fully worked out this thought. But that's how streams go here. We just start typing, and we hope to find it along the way. And we learn together, and that's the whole point. Every time, every week, for like a year now, I'm like, how am I supposed to stream when I don't know what I'm doing? But then, like, that's why I streamed, is because I wanted to show y'all what it was like to, like, learn and build in real time in, like, a real world sort of application. So let's write this test. Let's write. Gotta hydrate. Thanks, Prince. Okay, so we want to do this. Clicking bookmark icon updates UI. Now there's a lot of thoughts here. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but let's start with this. We need like a test article. So we can create an article. The title, we can make that, we've got this HTML string class. We can call it test article. I think the parameter is HTML title. And we can say bookmarked is false. So this will have one test article. We'll need an article list. And what we need to do is we need to go into our compose test rule. Let me know in chat, y'all, if any of you are super unfamiliar with like UI testing with Compose. We did a stream on it a while ago. I'm not sure if that's up on YouTube. I can give you a quick rundown. But actually, let me just do the quick rundown right now. So no matter what, everyone is included here. Also, side note, ADHD brain. If at any point in the stream, if you leave and come back, I need to set up a recurring Nightbot thing for this. But we added a new command, !recap. If you're coming in and you're not sure what's going on, try out that command. It's a way to get my attention, and I'll stop and explain what we're doing. You can use it now if you want to try it, but I already stopped to explain what we're doing. So I want to briefly explain UI testing with Compose. So Compose has this test rule called create compose rule. And we create this inside our Android test class. And then what we can do is on that test rule we call set content. And then here we put in all of our information. And the nice thing about this set Nef Faisal, thank you for the follow. The nice thing about like this compose test rule is that when I go to run the test, what it's basically going to do is create an empty activity and then just put this compose inside of it, or this composable inside of it, and then we can interact with that and write some tests. We don't need to implement these methods. Oh, actually we will, I think, for this test, but let's come back to that. Article list. So this is the setup for the test. We've got a test article, we change that to a list, and then inside our compose test rule, we set up that article list. Now, okay, what needs to happen next? So, So let's think about, how do I do this? Okay, so I'm just going to keep typing it out in my head. So what I need is I need a way when the test starts to keep track of the current UI state. And I also need a way that when I click on a bookmark icon, I update that state that's specific to this test, right? So one way to do that is to keep track of like the temp article, or I don't know, we can call this like article list state. And this can be, I think the way we do it is, this is list of article, then we do by, remember, mutable state of, I know we did this in a previous stream. And I think that it's going to make me import some stuff in order for this to work. I need this guy, I think, but I need this over here. I need to import get value and set value for that to work. I forgot how we keep track of state. Yes, we did it. So this will create like a Jetpack Compose like state that I can then manipulate, and every time this changes, our UI is going to re-render as a result. So what do we want to do here? So then inside on bookmark clicked, we can then update that value. We can say article list state equals. So let's do it kind of hacky because it's a test. We're just going to say, well, here, let's go back a second. I'm sorry, I'm tripping up. I'm going to delete that line, and I'm going to call this one article list, and this will be a list of test article. That's how we'll create it. I want this to be a var so I can change it, right? So what I'm going to do that's kind of hacky is whenever bookmarked is clicked, I'm just going to do article list dot. We're going to set a new value by mapping the current one and then just doing it.copy bookmarked equals true. So this is kind of hacky because it's like mapping the entire list even though there's one item in it, but that's fine to keep the test like simplified. I think because I got a little confused there, that one was for tracks, by the way. I think because I got a little confused there, let's write some comments about this. So start off with a test article that is not bookmarked by the user. We want to maintain a local article list that can be updated on click, so the UI should re-render. Okay, and then we can add this little note right here. When a bookmark icon is clicked, just map the entire list to say the items are bookmarked. Since this test only has one article, this is fine. Okay, so our compose test rule keeps track of an article list. That's what it sets on the article list, and when a bookmark is clicked, it's going to map this, update the state, which should re-render the list, and now we can write the test that we want to write. So let's do this. So the first thing we need to do is, how do we do this? Compose test rule, we can do like, so we need to get the node that we want. So we can say like on node with, okay, well, here's the first thing. We need to make sure that the node we're looking for is not bookmarked. That's the first thing we need to do. And the way to do that is to check for a node with a content description. So let's talk about why content description. This was a good question in a Slack channel that I'm in about, Compose only exposes so much information during a UI test, and it's really any of that information that's related for accessibility. So like I had asked this question, like I wanted to write a UI test for like text color, and there's no way to do that. And I was wondering if that meant I should refactor some code. And the short answer was yes, but they brought up a good point that like, if you're trying to use text color to signify something that should, that's related for like accessibility purposes, maybe like enabled or disabled, then you should find some other semantics way of demonstrating that. And that's what we can do for images. I can't check for like the actual image resource that's powering an image in Compose, but what I can check is the content description. And it makes sense for accessibility that that content description is related to whether or not something is bookmarked. So let's first check, before we can write our test, if we already did that, because I might have when we built it. So let's go to article list item, and let's go to our bookmark button. Cool, and we actually have this already. We set a content description of bookmarked, if the article is bookmarked, and I knew you would love that if you were around, Prince, and not bookmarked if it's not. So this is good. I suppose we could take this a step further for, Megan is right behind me. She could have just told me to hide, right? Also, I know that she watches on mobile where the latency is like 20 seconds, so she probably thought that took forever. Uh, okay, we could go a little step further with this content description and put like the article title as part of this. I actually don't know like if we had a screen reader if that would be helpful because it would read the title before reading bookmarked, but it would help with testing so I can make sure I'm running the assertion like on the right item. I think that's all just conceptual. Let's write the test with this, especially because our test only has one item in it. But if we were trying to write a UI test where I had multiple items and I wanted to bookmark a specific one, making the content description specific to the article might be a better idea. But I'm afraid I keep getting ahead of myself and I don't want to do that. So we're going to start. We're going to go to she could just make me hydrate anytime, yeah. So we're going to go to our compose test rule. We're going to, I literally just forgot the, okay, not bookmarked. We're going to find a node with this content description, and then we're going to do assert exists. And that's it. We just want to make sure that somewhere there's a node that says not bookmarked. Great. Next, we're going to go to, well, now we can do something like, if it does exist, we can do on node with content description, not bookmarked. And then we can perform click, which is the way of clicking that button. Right, and then the next thing we're going to do is then we're going to do compose test rule on node with content description, bookmarked, and then assert exists. So those are the three steps for this test. Let's write this out. First, verify that a icon for a not bookmarked article exists. Awesome. Then we're going to say click on the not bookmarked article. Oops. And then we're going to say verify that an icon for a bookmarked article exists. So that's what this test is going to do. Let me know in chat if y'all want me to go through that test again. I was a little confusing. It was my first time writing a test like that, but I think that all this follows. So let's run it. I'll even, while it's running, I'll pull up this screen so you can hopefully see it run. Or maybe, will this work or will it be really bad? Oh, this isn't awful, except my face is covering it, so maybe that is awful. We're not going to do that. What happens if I put it on this side? Is that really annoying? Oh, surprisingly not. Maybe we'll do more of this. Oh, it's going to give me a warning about installing. That's fine. Cool, so it failed. We were able to see briefly on the left-hand side that the click action occurred. I saw the ripple. And let's look at why it failed. So we got this, expected exactly one node, but could not find any node that satisfies content description bookmarked. So we did what we set out to do. We talked about the bug, that the UI isn't updating when we click the bookmark icon. We wrote a test that expects that to work, and our test failed because it doesn't. So now we've done the first part of test-driven development, right? We've written the test. Now we need to do the development to fix this. So I spoiled this already. I told y'all that it was specifically this article list, that we need a way to provide like a unique identifier for the key. So the way a key is created for a compose, this is specifically a lazy column thing, or a lazy row, maybe any other lazy lists. But we get a lambda that takes an article, and I believe I'm supposed to give it, yeah, just any, sorry. It takes in the article, that's what type T is here, and I need to give it any. I need to give it something that is meant to be a unique identifier for this article. But it's not enough for it to be a unique identifier for the article, like the article title. It needs to be something that fully describes like the state. Because if I change it to just be the article title, I'm going to have the same bug. So one way I could do it is like to pair it with the article title and whether or not it's bookmarked. Pair like that string and boolean together. Because if one or both of those things change, then I need to update the whole thing. Now, one way to do this is to just return the article itself. And what Compose will do is basically run an equality check between the old article entity and this one. And for this app, I think that's totally fine. And I think that's fine for a lot of apps. The only reason you might not want to do this is, let's say there's information that might change that you don't care about re-rendering the UI, right? Maybe like, I don't know, maybe I am storing under the hood like the number of views, and I don't want to update my list every time like the number of views changes. So that might be a reason to make sure that your key lambda is very specific to the UI information that you do care about. Just a disclaimer. But for this app, I'm going to say if the article entity changes at all, then we want to re-render. So now, let's run our test again. And it should pass. And that would be very quick, and then I would need to figure out what I'm going to do for the next like 50 minutes. But it's a start. Alright, that was weird. I didn't even see it come on screen. Interesting. Oh, alright. I don't know if y'all can read this. We got an illegal argument exception. Type of the key, article, blah, 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 is not supported. On Android, you can only use types which can be stored inside the bundle. So it must be using a bundle under the scenes, or behind the scenes here. So there's a few ways to fix that in our app. One, if I wanted to use the article as the key, is I could make article like implement the parse-able interface. That would work. But I'm going to do something even faster, and we're just going to do toString. Because article is a data class. Let me see, where is it at? Article is a data class, so the toString function will include all the properties in it, and it's another great way to basically do an equality check here and satisfy Android's requirement that this be something that can go in a bundle. So now let's try. Let's go. I saw it update. The test passed. Very exciting. Let's actually look at that in real time and run the app ourselves. But cool. That was... Where are we at? How long have I been live? I can't even tell. 30 minutes. That was 30 minutes of test-driven development and fixing a bug. So now we can see when I click this bookmark, the UI is actually updating accordingly in real time. So that's awesome. Nice. Let's commit this. So we can say fixing bookmark UI update bug and testing. And let's make a quick pull request for this. Alright. Anyone in chat have an idea of anything else they want to learn? Specifically anything around this study guide. There might be more opportunities for code coverage. I'm not sure what off the top of my head. We could, if no one has any ideas, one of them is we could play around with this content description idea a little more and go over writing a test to make sure we booked a specific icon. Isn't that? Ooh, good question. What's the idea behind the study guides? So last year in about August was when I started to live stream on Twitch. And the idea back then was I wanted to build an Android app from scratch all the way to publishing. Do everything live, port everything to YouTube or some service. YouTube is where they're all at now. And basically just give that like real-time experience of seeing an app built and published like start to finish, right? something that would have like cool features, something for everyone of all skill levels to learn from. Um, that's like the inspiration behind the project. And if you're interested, we can just drop this in there, exclamation point GitHub. That's the link to um, the project. Not every single stream is up on YouTube. I had a couple hiccups, but we've figured out our setup, and now that is going to be the case moving forward. Um, but yeah, we stream this almost every Wednesday. We do stream every Wednesday, but it's not always a study guide. The second inspiration behind the study guide, so that was why I started the project. Um, the secondary inspiration of this was to maybe build an app that like people could use, like Android devs could see this app built in real time. Um, but then this could be like an app that people could download and get like the latest Android resources. So right now, selfishly, it's just pulling from my blog's RSS feed, exclamation point blog if you haven't seen it. Um, and But I would like to add others, maybe add like other tabs where you could look up like videos, podcasts, anything you might be interested in. Um, One of the features I thought about starting tonight, if I had planned on it, was like doing searching or filtering, like filtering by tags. I'd also like to spend time to update this UI and not use the default material colors, but I'm not a designer. Um, oh, couple questions here. Um, have you tested ProGuard R8 with Compose? I actually haven't used those in a normal app. I'm not very familiar with them. That would be a good idea for the stream. Um, are the study guides part of a coherent app? So study guide was the name of the app. The idea was to name the app Android Study Guide. Um, and the app would provide you with all those like Android resources and information. And then a question from Kemper. Have you tried accessibility like TalkBack and Compose already? I have not. I need to figure out an audio issue with my stream. Um, I can't get the computer audio to play through to the stream anymore. I used to have that. But once I figure that out, TalkBack would be a really good idea for a stream. Um, I know Compose accessibility is pretty good. I know they made it really like a first party citizen and something that got a lot of priority when they were building Compose. Um, so would be nice to see. Yeah, thanks for the idea. We can even, so one thing while I talked about the purpose of this is I actually wanted to well, we're going to delete this because we don't even use um, how do I, we're going to close this. But I wanted to use issues as a way to keep track of like ideas for this app and even future stream ideas. So we can even write this. What do we want to say? Run through app using Compose accessibility tooling. Would be nice to do a stream focused on verifying the accessibility of this app, colors, talkback, etc. Something we can do. I'll keep an eye on that. Ooh, chat is a lot of great questions from chat today. I love it. I have a question related to Jetpack Compose desktop and not related to your current project. Do you know if there's a way to include a pane that contains high performance graphics like OpenGPL? No, I have no idea. I haven't actually looked at Compose for desktop. Um, so I can't even guess if it's possible. It would be nice if it were possible to do something like on Android where you can put like a standard view inside Compose and vice versa. But I don't actually know with certainty if like something like that is supported. Um, Sorry, I wish I knew. I did see my coworker did a very cool piece of code today where they wrote a view in Jetpack Compose and then put like an Android view wrapper around it so they could put it inside one of our existing recycler views. Apparently there's a class called like abstract compose view, which extends the Android view, but it has a method you must override called like content, and then you put all your compose code in there, and then it renders it like a normal view. It was super nice. I didn't realize how easy that interop was. It was pretty cool. So, yeah, I have a lot of updates in this app, but I've learned my lesson and that I don't try to update tooling while streaming because it just becomes a mess. Wonder if I should put some documentation on this. I think we're good. Yes, we just started using Compose at work. Nothing that is like live in the App Store right now, but some upcoming features. We've started to use it already. But speaking of tooling, we've run into a whole ordeal with that. That's kind of annoying because the latest version of Jetpack Compose beta requires Kotlin 1.5, but if we update to Kotlin 1.5, it breaks our code coverage tool that we use. It like breaks something with Jacoco, and so it's like we're just stuck on the last Compose beta because I can't update. It's annoying. If any of you have code coverage tools that aren't Jacoco that you know work with Kotlin 1.5, let me know, because we're not explicitly tied to that one. It was just what me and my coworker were familiar with. But I'm open to suggestions on better tools. When I find one, that could be another stream idea, which is like code coverage. Would be cool to learn, do on stream, even with this app, go over coverage, see if there's better opportunities. You can do, fun fact, all right, so now that I've run those, I am going to pull the phone out of this window. Fun fact, if you are using Android Studio and you go to your test folder, there's this Java folder right here. If you right click on this, there is, in this more run menu, there's run tests with coverage. And that's actually that's built into Android Studio to like run, oh, I heard this was a bug. I think it's a bug on Android Studio beta right now. But this was a built-in tool in Android Studio to run your unit tests and get like the coverage percentage, but it's not working. Classic. Huh. That's a cute little emote. I need to get more emotes into this channel. The only one I have is the bug droid of myself. Alright, we're stumbling. I don't really have any other ideas. Let's check. As filler, we can check if this if these tests are passing. We're still waiting on the UI test to pass. Oh, you're right. That's a really good idea. Because I see people take popular emotes, like the PogChamp and like LOL and other stuff, and they remake them sort of as themselves. But it'd be cool to have like a bug droid PogChamp or a bug droid like laughing emoji. Oh my god. That's actually really good. I'm going to save that. I'm going to reach out to someone. I still have, some of you may have seen, I think there's one next to my name. The sub badges are going to be themed after the Android desserts. So if you sub to the channel, you'll get a little badge next to your name, and it'll be cupcake for like 1 month, gingerbread after 2 months. I have more coming, but they're not included yet. I'm not going to do every single dessert, but that will be the idea, is like, oh, Joe, thank you for the sub. So you should have one next to your name next time you type, if it doesn't replace one of those existing things. Yep, look, there's a little cupcake. Oh, you're staff. I didn't know that. I just now noticed the staff icon. Yeah, the cupcakes are really nice. Unlimited Prime subs. Give me that Bezos money. Or, I don't even know what it's called anymore. Can we still call it? I'm still going to call it Bezos money. But, I don't even know I don't even know. It's just forever Bezos money. I'm sorry. Prince, I don't think he gets an actual sub badge because he's one of the first subscribers, so he has that fancy first badge. Alright, I don't know. Anyone have an idea of something that we could start to build? I said I would stream until like 8 o'clock, which is another like 40 minutes. Oh, no, it doesn't at the end of the day. Like, just It doesn't matter who's. Oof, I wasn't ready for that. What is new in Android? I know Android 12 beta came out. Beta 2 came out today. Whoops, where are we looking? But I haven't updated in a while. Um, let's look. What's new in the Android 12 beta 2? I did see that they fixed the fixed. So a lot of people are really upset at the like sparkling ripple effect. Yeah, so they got rid of that. Uh, or that's my understanding. Yeah, that was such a well-intentioned feature, especially the way they explained it during I/O. That like they wanted to provide better feedback to like ripples, but but it's not everywhere anymore. Gotcha. But I feel like it just kind of went too far. Um, Interesting. So what do we got here? Enable, disable, show clipboard access toast messages? I don't know. That's the thing. Alright. Everyone go crazy because Prince isn't here. Um, Thank you, Hamza. I really appreciate it. Um, Smart replies are no longer pill-shaped. What an interesting tweak. Um, High-level toggles and app bars are better emphasized. I see. Did y'all see? Speaking of Android 12, while we're looking at this, did y'all see the volume bar in Android 12 in the first beta? Like, did anyone notice that thing? Holy crap! Hold on. I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it right away. Um, let's see if we can find a screenshot. Look at this thing. This is what they shipped it with. It's like gigantic. I should please hold while I check if I have it, but I'm pretty sure I don't. I do have a test device with Android 12 on it, and it would be cool if I could connect that and we could actually look at it. I don't have that phone with me. Maybe next week we can do. Actually, side note, ADHD brain again. I'm probably gonna take next week off because next Friday I am moving fully into this apartment, and knowing my procrastination self, I'll probably start packing next Wednesday. So I should probably not stream, so I can get ready to move. But yeah, and then once I am fully moved is when I plan to do more YouTube content as well. So. Oh, menu descriptions and settings restored. I wonder why they would get rid of that. That was really good to have. Wallpaper style stuff. Yes, she's very excited for me to be here. Ooh, another cool thing in Android 12. Shout out to Matt, who's not here, but he sent this to me. This was a really cool animation of like a widget opening and closing. It sounds like they're basically something similar to like shared element transitions for widgets. This is like mind blowing to me. This is very cool. That's another idea for a stream, is building widgets. I don't really know with respect to like the study guide app what a like useful widget would be. Maybe like viewing your bookmarks or something, but that would be cool to have. Let's record that real quick. This is just kind of turning into another little AMA session, isn't it? I'm always down for those. Like a month or so ago, we had a stream that like had a bunch of technical difficulties, and we just turned it into like an hour-long AMA session. That was actually really nice. More cut pack now playing. Wallet on the lock screen. That's nice. Oh, I remember them announcing this in the keynote at I/O, that you now have a toggle for camera and microphone access, where you can like turn it off for all apps. That's really cool. Um, yeah, I like that a lot. My opinions of Android privacy always boil down to like, as a user, I love it, and as a developer, I'm annoyed. Like runtime permissions and stuff, I'm always like, this is just like other development to think about. But as a user, I love these features. I think they're doing good. Now, there's a broader question of like, I'm still giving all of my data to the Google overlords, and how much privacy do I really have? But it's the illusion. Yes, exactly. um, you know. And I mean, baby steps. Having my data be with one company versus all of them is fine. Better. Do I have some experience with espresso? Yeah, I have. Before I moved this, before I moved the study guide app over to Compose, um, we were using espresso. I don't know if y'all could hear that if my mic picked it up, but I said espresso and Megan said yum. Um, so that's why I'm laughing. Before I moved this app to Compose, I was using espresso a lot. Um, all right, there's a whole new privacy dashboard. This looks like it hasn't changed much in beta 2. Tweaked UI when removing apps from home screen. Interesting. Everything's rounded now. Having many companies own a little bit of data is better than one company having all my data. That's fair. That's another way to look at it. Yeah, because I think about that sometimes. Like, if someone got access to my Gmail, I feel like I'm just gonna start a new life. It's just, that's over. But one of my favorite like existential memes though is like, if my identity is ever stolen, I hope they can make something out of my life. Anyways, we're just gonna slide right past that one. Keep looking at Android 12 stuff. Oh, so this is the narrowed slider. This is what it looks like now. It's still large. Like, it's still. I mean, I guess it's not. It's probably the same, but it's just rounded now and it's taller. But it's definitely not as thick with like 5Cs. Ooh, internet panel and quick settings. This is really nice. I didn't know this was a thing. I wish Google would let me pay $10 a month in return for no tracking. I agree. I think there's a lot. I think there are a lot of like Google alternatives out there um, that we can use, but like the unfortunate truth of it all is that like these companies that profit off of our data for advertising purposes provide like services that are helpful, right? Like to stay connected, and like the ease of use is like hard to ignore, and people are clearly willing to give up a lot of stuff before in order to have that like um, words in order to have that just like ease of use of all their projects. Um, I still want to do more with material U theming. All right, that's a quick run through, but the value of privacy is very vague. Yeah. Um, it's an interesting topic. I feel like we could talk about it for hours, right? I say interesting because like it's like very easy to look at some of the privacy concerns and data manipulation of these big bad companies, but the other side of it, like I said, is that like if I need to go somewhere, I could have a taxi outside my door in 5 minutes, right? I can order my fat ass food that's here within 30 minutes. I can connect with all of you. I can connect with people around the world at my fingertips all the time. I move different states, but I can still talk to my family every day. Like, the internet brings us a lot of good services. It's just kind of upsetting to see, like, those good things be exploited. Um, and then it becomes very hard to separate the two, you know? Um, but they've kind of, like, rose to the top so quickly that it's hard to see, like, what is the solution to that, right? Because any company that's going to try to like outdo Gmail or something like that. Um, yes, the internet brought me something great. How did I leave out online dating? Um, yes, Megan and I met at OkCupid, the last company that I worked at. So, internet does bring plenty of good things. Prince, I literally met you in person. What are you talking about? Prince and I, great story. Prince and I first met, sort of, um, because we met. Well, I guess the first time. So the funny story is that we have a selfie together at like the Denver airport because we were all like going to a conference and we were waiting on a shuttle bus. But at the time, he and I hadn't actually met each other yet. We met in person later at the conference. But it's just very funny to have like a selfie with my roommate before either of us knew we existed. Um, so that was cool. Prince is jealous. I'm gonna miss. Well, I'm not really gonna miss shitposting with Prince because thanks to the internet, I can shitpost with Prince no matter where I'm at. See what I mean? Like the internet has a lot of really great things. Um, all right, we talked about Android 12. Um, oh, there's a comment here. I missed this. The thing is, what users want is an app without ads, which does not collect any data but don't pay for it. Yeah, exactly. You like have to choose. Um, but and then it's also weird. Is auto theming in the latest beta? All I know is that there's this title here on like wallpaper based theming. Um, let's see if we can click on it. See what this says. Yes, so beta 12, beta 2 wallpaper based Material U color themes have arrived. Um, these look very ooh, these are cool. I want to try this out too. Maybe maybe beta 2 is stable enough that I can be risky enough to just update my personal phone, but we'll see. Oh, but I want to go back to Benny's point. It's like I also have mixed feelings about like advertisement in general. Like sometimes with like games, I guess that like I hate the little banners at the top. But as far as like sponsored ads, like every once in a while I find stuff that like actually interests me and I actually want to go out and buy. And like I'm fine with being surface stuff that I care about if that works. Um, so I actually don't think that my personal issue is as much with advertising as like the way that like social media has used all of this stuff to choose what and how they surface information and like specifically not do shit to stop like the spread of disinformation and harassment on the internet, like those things which are rampant on free tools because people will do whatever they want under like the guise of anonymity and then anonymity. Um, y'all know what I mean. Um, like that's my biggest issue with a lot of these like free services out there. Um, you know, you can shove all of the products in my face if you can get Nazis off your platform. Like that's my contract that I wish they would abide by. Yep. Maybe I should update my Twitch title if we're not actually coding right now. Um, feelings only ones that. Yeah, yeah. I think we're the only ones who pay for software, which I do every once in a while. Like I've got the Sublime Text license because I believe in supporting developers who make tools that I enjoy. So, I mean, but isn't that marketing? So, responding to those ads artificially manipulate you into wanting to buy stuff that you previously wouldn't have even thought of. That's marketing, right? That is how newspaper ads work. That's how like Spotify ads work. And again, like it's not always bad. Like I have like I'll shill for this company called Grip Six. They make like a belt that like doesn't use like a real buckle. I saw it as like a sponsored ad. I try it out, and I love these belts. Like they're great. And I was like, wow. They're like one of like two things that scrolling through Facebook, I was like, this is a really great product. No, the other like 100 times, it's not that helpful, but um, yeah. Let's maybe we can brainstorm if we don't have coding ideas. Maybe we can brainstorm other ideas for like future streams. Um, yeah, there's no escape from it. I get that. I didn't realize this, but like until I saw it. But if you scroll through your Facebook feed, it's every four list items is an ad, and that seems like so small. Like how did they get away with that? But they do. Like we still use it. And I can't think of like any other service that like every four items being some promoted interruption being okay, and yet Facebook pulls it off. I deleted the app off my phone. Oh, and I don't even use Instagram. Um, but I found that getting them off my phone and out of my pocket helps a lot. Like I still like these tools for the handful of good things, like being able to connect with people, but getting it out of my pocket is a huge help. Or even turning off notifications. I've done that. I've actually customized thanks to notification channels, which were like a few versions of Android ago, that you can toggle which notifications an app sends you. I can like control which things that Twitter notifies me about. So I actually I basically turned it off for everything except Twitter DMs. So like I don't need to be notified every time someone likes something, or like someone I like follow tweets something, right? Like I have it to like specific mentions and Twitter DMs. So that's really nice and something you can do with a lot of apps, I think. Um, I've been on YouTube Premium for a while because I used to like sub to like Google Play Music or whatever. But I agree, it's definitely worth it. Um, yeah. Anyone got any wild ideas on stuff we could build for this in the future? Um, I will make a ticket for. We'll do implement custom design. What is it? What is the word? Design system. So we can update that. Drag and drop was a stream idea. I don't know if I would add it to this app in particular. I don't know um, if that would be useful. Um, Someone had an idea. Well, I've got other ideas around like searching and filtering, um, like searching by tags or something. Good drag and drop seems very hard to pull off. Yeah, it might be easier in Compose than we think, because Compose made swipe to dismiss pretty easy. There's a stream for that on. Oh, it's not on YouTube because that's the one that had the copyright claim that I need to sort out. Um, but maybe I can fix that and we can put that stream up on YouTube sometime. Yeah, so y'all remember when I came out as Captain America and I played the Captain America theme song? Yeah, that 30 seconds was enough to get YouTube to. YouTube picked it up and it, yeah. Oh, absolutely worth it. Also, I should hide that channel reward until I get my AC fixed because if someone redeems that anytime soon, I'm gonna be a night. It's gonna be a nightmare. It's okay. You can still catch up. I'll have to do it once we have AC again, if we ever have AC again. We can merge this pull request, I guess, at the start. Thank you for including the everyone else, yes. So I think it's a gray area, some of the stuff on Twitch. Uh, because, like, if I do it live in the stream, it's usually fine. And then what happens is on the video playback, it will just mute any section where it picks up music you don't own. I don't think you get a. But that's happened to me before, but I didn't actually get like any copyright strikes on my account, even though I did that. Um, so I don't know, but they could do it one day. So I just when I play music beforehand, if I ever fix that, I try to use like DMCA free music. Got it. Yeah, Twitch. That video was still up on Twitch, and that's when I exported to YouTube. YouTube said there was like a copyright claim. Um, Mr. Twitch Dev has spoken. Also thought about doing a GraphQL stream soon too. I think that was another thing. I posted something on Twitter. That was another idea that people had interest in exploring. Um, oh, clips maybe. So I follow this streamer who they found something where like the audio they play goes through like a separate track, so like people can hear it, but it doesn't actually like get recorded in their VOD and in their clips. I'm not really sure how they did this or if they should, so I'm not going to out anybody. But what was funny about this particular streamer is that then someone clipped like them doing something related to the song, but then in the clip it was just completely silent, and you just see like their movements and like what they're saying, and it makes no sense given the context because you can't hear the song playing, and it's just very funny. Oh, thank you for lurking, Teal Shark. We're just hanging out here. And this is turning into like a podcast style stream. Do I have? I'm not sub to. No, I'm not sub to Teal. I need to go fix that. I don't have that. I have Widow's lurk emote. Someone gifted me a sub to Widow's stream, so I have the Widow lurk emote. Maybe while we're here, we can write some more tests if there's any other ideas. We could, alright, while we're sitting here and we're not really doing a deep dive into any particular topic and we're just chit-chatting, I'm going to try to work through an old test issue that we had like several months ago when we first added Compose. Let's talk about it. So there's this article list test class, right? Actually, let me get a different branch here. Hold on. Okay, so there's this test that we wrote ages ago, and what I wanted to do was I created this dummy list of articles that is 10 items, right? And it just creates an article number for that index. And I wanted to write a test that verified they were all on the screen. So we have this like on node with text. Oh yeah, I do all my Git stuff in the console, except for merge conflicts, then I use the editor for those. Um, and let's talk about the problem, I guess. So if I try to assert that all of these all of these articles exist, if I were to run this, it's basically going to fail, and it fails somewhere around number 7. And the reason that fails, tests running over here, is because it's a lazy column, right? So it only renders, oops, that's not even running the test, I was running the app. So it only renders like what fits on screen, plus like 1 or 2 items. So I was trying to figure out how to test that like all of the items were applied to the list. So, see, so right around number 7, it can't find anything that exists, so it fails. So what I was thinking is, at the time, I could not figure out what to do. And actually, maybe it wasn't possible. But as of like the Compose betas, you can keep track of like the state for a lazy list and use that to scroll to items. So I was thinking that it might make sense to see if our tests can keep track of that lazy list state, um, find a way to update it later on, and then like scroll down to like an item and then verify that it exists, if that makes sense. Um, but that was a little hard. Um, let's talk about why. Maybe we can figure it out while we're just sitting here chatting. So I'm going to update article list to consume the state. And this will be a lazy list state. And we could say by default, we're just going to call remember lazy list state, because by default, we don't care about it. But then in our tests, we can provide a custom one. So that's the first part. Now inside the test, we can get a reference to it here. We'll call it list state. Be remember lazy list state. And then we pass this in. And so here's what's tricky, is somewhere down here, I want to update the state, right? But, so you might think, well, let's just pull the state out of here. But I can't, because this is a composable function, so it can only happen from inside the context of another composable function. So it's almost like I need something inside this set content block that has the ability to update the state. And I don't think it's right to put any of the test logic inside set content, right? Like that would be nice. I could just put it all inside here. I don't think that's intended. So I haven't figured out how to get code outside of set content to interact with code that is inside of it. So in the last test, the one that we wrote at the beginning of the stream, one way we did that was by interacting with the view, like by doing perform click. But the thing is, like, if I reference this node, at least last time, there was no... Oh my god. It exists now. So, last time I did this, there was no perform scroll to... Oh, actually, there was, but I don't think it worked. So let's try it. Let's go to compose test rule. On root, which will be our... We want on root, which should be our lazy column. Let's try this perform scroll to index. And let's give it 6. Let's try to scroll to that last... Oh, God. And why are you going to yell at me? Oh, this is experimental. Okay. Does using the compose test rule require any Android dependencies? Yeah, so this runs instrumentation tests. It runs on a device. What compose test rule basically does is starts like an empty activity and then renders whatever you put in here inside the set content inside that like empty activity. Let's try this out. This method wasn't here when I tried to do this like several months ago. But let's find out if it works now. Let's see what happens. I'm going to pull this back over here while we're running tests again. Yeah, bleeding edge testing technology. As if we're bleeding edge testing technology for the bleeding edge UI technology that we're using. All right. What failed? Is it the same issue? Aha. Failed to scroll to index. The node is missing. Semantics property scroll to index. Okay, so we did have this problem last time, and I can't quite understand why the yeah, this is node number 1, which is a lazy column. I can't quite understand why the lazy column doesn't support scrolling to an index. But let's make sure that I read that right. We can look at the logcat real quick. Oh, maybe. Article list item test. We have this thing which is printing out like all of the nodes. When the test runs. Oh, interesting. Oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe it's not on node. Maybe it's not on root. Maybe I need to do it on this node that has scroll to index. Let's find out. Okay, sorry. Let me explain to y'all. I'll answer your question in a second. Let me explain to y'all what I'm looking at. This line right here. Let's get this phone out of here. Oh, Megan left the doggo in here. This line right here takes like the everything that's inside our compose test rule, prints to log. So everything we're seeing here is like the semantics tree for compose. So we see this node number 1. We don't know much about it, but then we see this node number 2. And I'm noticing that node number 2 has what I want. It has like this actions for scroll to index, and then it looks like the first article is a child on that. So keep that in mind. Node number 2 is what our list is. But when I ran the test, the issue was the semantics for node number 1. So the problem, I think, was that I tried to perform scroll on the root because I thought the root would be the lazy column, but it looks like it's not. And maybe that's because it's putting everything like inside of something else. I'm not quite sure yet, but what I know is we can now, let's update our test rule to interact specifically with the lazy column, and hopefully this will work. Cheers, tracks. So how can we do that? Well, on our test rule, we can do on node, and we can give it, we can call it with our own semantics matcher. But I don't know. I want to see. So there is one. There's has scroll to index action. Oh, this is really nice. Okay. So on the node with that action, and then we could say perform scroll to index, and we can give it 7, which should scroll to article number 6. This is really nice if it works. Let's debug. I'm going to put this back in here. And it's kind of annoying. I'll play around with, I've been wanting to play around with like the UI setup of the stream to make sure there's like room for everything, maybe even shrink my face. It worked. Oh, that's so nice. I don't know if you saw the scroll action happen really fast. Let's run it again. This is so cool. Either I could not figure this out last time, or it didn't even exist yet, which is entirely possible. Yeah, so watch down here. So it's kind of like a fast scroll. It was more of a jump. But by scrolling to that item, it was able to force the next items to render. And actually, we should add one more. I think it goes up to 10. Oh my god. And I need to follow up with Sam Edwards because he was here hanging out trying to help me fix it. And I'll have to let him know we fixed it. Nice. let's commit this. But while I have a little bit of time left, actually, let me pull up Messenger. I think Megan is cooking, and I don't want to miss when food is ready. Okay, so fixing article list test by scrolling items. So here's a thing to think about in this test, just like a conceptual idea here. So this test works. Let's talk about what this test is doing now. So we set all of our content. We go through articles 0 through 6, and we assert that they're on the screen. And then we scroll down to index 7, which is that 6th article. And then we assert the others exist. Now this works, but conceptually this works because of my phone and its particular size. We're making an assumption here that this is like the last visible article, right? So it might be better to maybe do like a for loop where we scroll to each item and verify it exists or something like that. Or maybe what we could do is like, I wonder if there's like an assert child count even. No, we've got assert blah blah blah. Assert exists, does not exist. Yeah, we can assert. We can't do, well, I could say, I'm just checking for semantics matchers that might be better for other stuff. But I don't see one for like the list. Assert is displayed. Will that be true? Well, that would be false. Because if it doesn't exist, it's definitely not displayed. So one way we could do it is to loop through. Maybe another one is to like specifically like scroll to that last index. So I don't know, do something like let's just try this. Like scrolling to that last index. Let's see what this does. I'm actually curious if we can look and see like what happens if we scroll to an index that's not available. I don't know. We will do it for trial and error. Oh, is that what failed? Oh, that's what happens. You get an illegal argument exception. I should have known that that was 11. Okay. So maybe another possible solution is to like try to scroll to an index and verify that it works. That's one way we could do it. But I think maybe like another way, maybe a more like consistent way, right, would be to do something like so our indexes would be 0 to 10, right? And we could do like, so we could loop through our indexes. We could say like on node has scroll to index action dot scroll to, perform scroll to index. So for each index, we're going to scroll to it and then do on node with text, article number, use unmerged tree, assert exists. So rather than like this hacky solution where I know where the end is supposed to be, sorry, I'll get this back on screen. We can track the indexes we're expecting, loop through them, scroll to it, verify the article exists. That's like one way to test that everything gets rendered, right? Let's see if this passes. Now, this might not be great if the test were to fail all of a sudden, and like the line wouldn't really give me an indication of what went wrong. But ooh, that was a cool little scroll animation. All right, this passes. I think I like this a little more. So we're gonna commit this instead. Iterating over article list down. That's cool. Thank you all for. I was not planning to fix that bug today, but I'm glad we did. Hadn't even thought about it. Let's, before I sign off, because I'm going to do that in a few minutes, I'm going to click on this real quick. And interesting. So Kotlin has a bunch of stuff where it tells you like when something was added. This doesn't. I want to check because I want to know. I want to know when it was added. What would this be? Let's do Compose UI Test standard. I'm just going to look up the release notes for the testing library and see if I can find I can remember where it's at. These are the references. I want releases. Okay, so it was added in beta 06, which is from May, so this definitely wasn't there last time we tried. So good to know I'm not crazy, but good to know it's there. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to send this to my friend Sam, who was there helping me last time. But all right, I think with that, I will make the pull request, and then I'm going to call it a stream and go get some food. But let me know in chat if y'all have any questions about what we did today or any last minute thoughts, concerns, anything. Thank you all for coming out this week. Like I said, I'm going to take next week off so I can prepare for moving. But in 2 weeks, we'll be back. And it'll be exciting. Sounds like we're good. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.